You know, ladies and gentlemen, I've been having a problem trying to figure out what I wanted to say about this Raw, because I'm sure a few people are going to say, hey, the WWE did pretty good here because they built up some things going into Survivor Series. Honestly, for me personally, even though some of these things were built and it's being spotlighted going into Survivor Series, I had this feeling. You guys can tell me below. Did it feel like something was missing from the show? In fact, 3 distinct things. Your WWE World Heavyweight Championship, your WWE World Heavyweight Champion, and the head of the company, which is the face of the company, John Cena. So Brock Lesnar, John Cena, and the World Heavyweight title was not there. And it actually shows in this Raw. Because as far as I'm concerned, to spotlight a Randy Orton that they did in the way they did really kind of shows how things are not going very well for the WWE. But let me give my explanation of that. In the opening of the show, we get Vincent Kennedy McMahon. You better kiss my ass when I bend it over, bitch. He doesn't usually say bitch, at least on television often. But you get my point. It's Vin and Mac showed his ass. Now, usually when Vince and Kenny McMahon is shown, they're trying to get a very substantial angle over. And they usually think having the head of the company show himself usually gives it more substance. Which kind of makes it bad, because what happens when Vince is gone? If Steph and Triple H can't get it done with him just away working the business in the back, what do you think it's going to be when he's gone permanently? It's not that good having to call out Vince. Unless you really think this is going bad. I'm just saying. He said simply, you know, we need more into this show. It's not enough. At Survivor Series, we are having a 5-on-5 traditional Survivor Series match, which actually is very good. We haven't had a lot of those in the last couple of years. Always they do something stupid or screwy about it. But it's good to hear it. Cena's team, which isn't the first time that's happened, versus the Authority, which is not much different than before when it was maybe Vince's team, Triple H's team, Randy Orton's team, essentially one of the Authority. If they lose everything. What does that mean? Well, you know what? I think JBL said it best, and he has not been doing commentary very well at all. I don't mind seeing him on the JBL and Cole show. I just wish he was not on commentary along with Michael Cole and Jerry the King Lawler. Let one of the panels take over for them once in a while. I'm just saying, I want some freshness on the commentary. But JBL did have a point. If we get rid of this, who's taking their place? Makes you think, is it going to be Vince or somebody? That doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence. It didn't work that well in the last couple of years with Vince or somebody else there. With our luck, it may just be, you know, the holla holla at ya, player. Or excuse me, or maybe they'll be smart, put Brad Maddox back, which I don't think they'll do. But did that feel effective? It did, but there's a problem. Like I said earlier, to cart out Vince and Kenny McMahon to do this, instead of something different, instead of them having something special from Steph and Triple H themselves, it's not looking so good. So the first match of the night, Cesaro and Dean Ambrose. Now this is the third encounter. The first one was last week when Cesaro got his head banged in by the mic. The second one was on SmackDown when they did a pumpkin thing, and Cesaro lost there too. And now it's this match. And then we get a little Bray Wyatt action up the ramp. Now I did a video that basically said, is Bray Wyatt going to get screwed? Now I still believe Bray Wyatt is not going to get over here. This is not that great, particularly that in this respect, even though, and I know so many people love Bray Wyatt, I understand that. When was the last time he won something? When was the last time he was spotlighted without having to help someone else? When was the last time he was in a feud where he really got over in the ring properly? I'm sorry, there hasn't been that much for Bray Wyatt, and as much as I do love Bray Wyatt, I actually do believe Bray Wyatt is very good. I don't think this feud is going to benefit him. I hope with everything in me I'm wrong and he gets over. But I just don't see it. Seeing this feud really, it doesn't make me feel very good. Next, Sheamus versus Tyson Kidd, and this goes with Total Divas mid-season finale. Do I actually care? I've said it before and I'll say it again. A possible Tyson Kidd versus a Natalya Kidd, or Natalya, period. That might happen. I don't know, but that's what it feels like, particularly that now Tyson Kidd won that match. And I gotta say this about Natalya. That dress just, I say this about Natalya, I don't know if anybody else cares, but she has a nostalgic look of a 1940s type of woman in her dresses. A woman that has class, finesse, and a great set of tits. That's how most women looked back then. They wore super tight clothes with a certain cut that made their titties look huge, even when they were tiny. And she's not a small-chested woman. I'm just saying. Now, moving on to the other Divas match, which was Nikki Bella versus Emma. Now, there's one person, I believe he's one of my subscribers, he really loves the Bellas. Now, if he sees this, I'm going to say, dude, I said it in my comments, and I really mean this. It doesn't matter what people think about the Bellas, even me. I'm honored you even comment on my videos. But this is not about what anybody else cares about. It's about what you care about. It doesn't matter if we like them or not, as long as you like them. And even if they're bad-mouthed the way you don't like it, it shouldn't matter to you, because as far as you're concerned, as one of their fans, who cares? Love them. Enjoy them. Now, as for me, I've always said this and I'm going to keep saying this. Anybody who gets in that ring, I respect them. But I must take them to task for their in-ring ability. And in this case, I will say this, having Emma versus Nikki Bella. Nikki looked better than Emma. Now, here's the problem when it comes to Emma. Emma was doing so well in NXT, and they basically dropped her. And this makes me wonder, should we even keep NXT? Really? Why even have the training center if you're not even going to push the people? But when you do look at this match, Nikki Bella looked better. But that doesn't mean that she's a great performer. She just isn't. She has standard moves. Yes, at the end she has a power move. But that's not something different that we've seen from women before. And I've stated that before. Now this makes me feel like there's going to be a feud between her other sister and her, which we already know this. But that feud is going to be for the Divas Championship, because now she won the chance again to go up against AJ. And there's a good chance this time around she'll win it. Because it would make no sense for her to go through all this, having a Brie as her assistant smack AJ in the face to help her, and not get over. If the WWE does this, it's stupider than letting Nikki win the championship. I'm sorry. Nobody, at least the ones who do not like the Bellas, want to see this at all. Me personally, I don't care who you are, as long as you do a decent work in the ring and even have the ability to act. And for me personally, I just don't believe either Bella has a very good ability to act. In-ring ability, they're average. And they almost have exactly the same movesets. They've both been trained the same. And even though their finishers, one is technical and one is more power move, essentially the problem is when you really look at their moves together, they literally mirror each other until they do the final finishers and the final power moves. They're almost exactly the same. They both have about 2 moves of doom. So essentially, you got literally twins. And I'm sure many people don't want to see them have this feud. But I'm being honest here. If you're going to have this storyline between the Bellas, you need to go through with it even if you knew the people don't like it. Even if there's a minor feud, you still have to let Nikki Bella win. Because putting Brie like this is dumb. if there's not going to be a payoff by Survivor Series, that Bella versus Bella and Nikki loses the title to her sister Brie. That's going to happen. And if it doesn't happen, it's actually very stupid, and you shouldn't be showing the Bellas in the first place. Now, moving on to Ryback versus O'Neal, which is sad for O'Neal. O'Neal needs to go away like a Ryback and then come back totally different. Because the crowd loves Ryback. But I really believe they're making a mistake that Michael Cole keeps saying, the big guy. I'm sorry. If you really want to get Ryback over, tell Michael Cole to stop saying big guy and just go back to the monster, the beast of Ryback. Doing the big guy reminds people how terrible he was before. Drop that stupid bit, and Ryback himself needs to change his ring attire and get rid of the big guy words on it. Because they'd rather see, and I believe I'd rather see, the yin and yang mark he used to have that came from RVD's own artist. Freehand spray artist for his clothes. That's what I believe would be better. And I am glad to see Ryback win, but I do believe he could have squashed O'Neal a little bit earlier. Even though I wish O'Neal wouldn't be squashed at all. Now, I don't understand this match. I don't. I just don't understand it. And that is Jimmy Uso versus Miz. Why? It really wasn't necessary here. Particularly later that we saw the Miz dealing with Stardust and, Fernando from Los Matadores. This match really wasn't necessary. Really, for the Usos doing singles, they don't usually do it. Now, if Jimmy, who is the one who's spotlighted, not Jay, is actually going to have his own singles run at one point, I can understand why they did this. If it's just because they want to give Miz a win, I think it wasn't necessary. Now, going to Stardust versus Fernando of the Los Matadores, I found that a lot more interesting. Even though it was still funny seeing the Miz in the ring dealing with Miz Dower outside, and I love me some Miz Dower. I'm sorry. Damien Sandow was doing great with this gimmick. He could have done that well there as well. I mean, he could have. The question is now, Stardust lost that match. He did. But the question is The Miz and Miz Dower feuding with Stardust and Goldust? Or is he going to be feuding with Los Matadores first? I think Los Matadores will go first with Sandow and The Miz. You know why? Because they want to test them to see if this will actually work. I'll be glad it's the flip side. Just let them have the titles. Or at least let them have some banter between each other. I think Stardust and Goldust versus The Miz and Miz Dower, they're very funny. It may actually work. Zack Ryder versus Rusev Mosca. Wasn't short. Squash match. No problem. Sheamus comes down. Now, twice in the night he's seen. And he's going to be seen again. And I'm doing a debate of the week on that separately. So I'm not talking about that match after Raw. But I'll say this. Sheamus looked actually very good. To make it something. Was it going to build into something? You'll have to watch my debate of the week. That's after this. Now, Mark Henry versus Big Show. This is where I come with a problem. You see, I have no problem with Mark Henry being turned heel if they're going to do something substantial with him. Something special where he could actually do something in the main title scene. And I'm sure people can say, dude, he's a mid-carder. No. He can be a main eventer. When he had the World Heavyweight Championship, people wanted to see him. Look at SmackDown's ratings when he was champ. They went really much higher than they normally do. So he has the ability as a face or a heel to get people interested in him. But I will not be happy if the reason they turn him into a heel for the Survivor Series 5-on-5, if it was only for that and they do nothing else, I give my word I'm going to riot. Because they had a better opportunity with Mark Henry as a patriot, as a face, and the crowd was behind him as a former Olympic gold medalist. People wanted to cheer Mark Henry because he was a gold medalist, he was an Olympic hero, and he was an American hero that people really wanted to get behind him. But if they just turned him heel just for Survivor Series only, and they do almost absolutely nothing with him, I give my word I'm going to riot. Because this didn't need to happen. We've seen Big Show and we've seen Mark Henry before. Even though it was not bad to see Mark Henry give the Hall of Pain to a Big Show on some steps, where does that lead us? It's going to be leading up to Survivor Series. That's what I believe. That's what I know is going to happen. But will they do something with him afterward? That's what I'm hoping they don't drop the ball with him. Pastor Woods. Amen, my brothers and sisters, dancing around like he's James Brown, baby. Why? Xavier Woods, and that looked like Xavier Woods. If it was somebody else, you tell me below, but that looked like Xavier Woods, ladies and gentlemen. They had a chance with him when it was Biggie Langston and Kofi Kingston months ago when they were going to create something special with him, and they dropped the fucking ball. They could have made an entirely new Nation of Domination with those three and completely destroyed the established black wrestlers' personas. They had their chance when it was red hot, something different. Well, at least beginning to get red hot. Then they dropped the shit and it was nothing. Now, what is he? Going to do a pastor type of thing? Ding dong dicks. The witch is dead. You know why I said it like that? Because the last time something like that happened was with Devon around 2004 to 5 when Batista was brought in as the Deacon's assistant, his enforcer. Sorry, allergies. That was the last time something like that was substantially used in a pastor type of thing. Oh, my brother, testify. Come on. It makes no sense why they decide now to try and do something when they had a better opportunity months ago to do something with Xavier Woods when he obviously could have gotten so much over with Kofi and Biggie. They could have had something monstrous on their hands by now, but as you know, they don't go through with it. Now they're going to do something half-assed here now. Now, if they do something half-assed and it actually gets over big time, I'll be happy to eat crow, but I just don't see it. Finally, let's see if I'm missing anything here. Finally, we get to the main two matches that meant the most. Dolph Ziggler's match against Seth Rollins, and then Randy Orton versus Seth Rollins. The reason I'm putting them together is because they basically have one of the three same guys. I'm not going to talk about the matches. I'm going to talk about the segments after and before each match. Now, the 1 hour main event, when it came to Dolph Ziggler, this was actually a big surprise for me personally. I don't remember the last time Dolph Ziggler has been in a segment at the 1 hour mark where he's dealing with one of the Breakfast Club, particularly the head of it, Triple H. You guys tell me below the last time you've seen that happen next to him dealing with Triple H and the wonderful HBK when he was a part of the Spirit Squad. That has not happened since. That was years ago. Dolph has not had an option like that since then. So it actually was a surprise to see this. Do I believe Dolph did well? Well, let's be honest here. Dolph very rarely has a chance to talk on the mic. And at a 1 hour main event, mind you. Did he do a decent job? Yes, he did. Could it have been better? Oh, yes, it could have been. I really believe it could have been better. But I'm actually going to give it a pass. You know why? Because the guy literally has never had the option at a 1 hour main event, or to even talk for that matter, if it isn't on the fucking WWE app, if it isn't on WWE.com, if it's even rarely done on SmackDown. When was the last time you saw him do it on Raw if it didn't involve AJ Lee, if it didn't involve Vicky Guerrero, if it didn't involve Vicky Guerrero? I'm sorry. This is the first real time I believe he was actually given a real spotlight, even though he was part of a plot device. He was. This was setting up between Randy Orton and Seth Rollins at the end of the night. And seeing that little go-between Triple H and Randy Orton after the match was over, and the RKO, which, mind you, there was no ring bell done when it was over. There was an RKO and that was the end of it. That was the Seth versus Dolph match. So, seeing this was actually better than seeing the ref not ringing the fucking bell. But when you see this, ladies and gentlemen, the last match of the night is setting up for Survivor Series. But the question is, 3 major things were still missing. No belt, no John Cena, and no Brock Lesnar. And if I'm going to be honest, very brutally honest, even though it was interesting to see, and it was better seeing blood from Randy Orton than nothing from John Cena, wasn't enough. Because knowing that they have to call out Vince and Kenny McMahon to help them promote Survivor Series means they really realize there's something bad in their product. And they're pushing the app so hard. They're pushing the network so hard. They don't want to see it. But it doesn't mean I didn't enjoy the show. To most extent, I did. But if I'm being honest here, I think the WWE realized they needed some extra firepower here, and they needed to come up with an angle that might give them something by Survivor Series. Hopefully it works out in the next couple of weeks, because we're getting close. So I hope you enjoyed the Zane View. Please give me a comment below. Tell me how you felt about it. What did you think about this Raw? Do you think it was great? Do you think it wasn't? I want to know. Even the guy who loved the Bellas. Give me a comment, dude. I'm cool with it. And watch out for my debate of the week. It will be on Rusev and why he was not on the damn show winning the fucking title. Peace out.